What? Yes, the Ravens have set Lamar up to fail long term. Sel, I'm reminded of a quote. That which I feared the most has befallen me.
Oh, give me that.
Lamar Jackson, what he feared the most was becoming the quarterback the Baltimore Ravens have made him become in the National Football League. Reminding y'all, Lamar Jackson, he didn't even run a 40 coming out of college because he didn't want the NFL to perceive him as exclusively some dominant running threat that couldn't pass the football. Lamar Jackson didn't run the 40 coming out of college because he didn't want people to look at him as a running quarterback. Yet that's exactly how we look at him 3 years later. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens, the #1 rushing offense the last 2 years, but the worst passing offense this last year. That which I feared the most has befallen me. That which Lamar Jackson feared the most is actually happening to him. 10 games under 200 passing yards Lamar Jackson had this previous season. One game under 100 passing yards. Lamar Jackson led the league in games with 200 or fewer passing yards this year. That which I feared the most has befallen me. Have they set Lamar Jackson up to fail? Absolutely long term. Now, in the short term, you're going to have a ton of great success. He won a unanimous MVP. So it can sound asinine. What you mean, Acho, setting him up to fail? That's great. But regular season success does not necessarily correlate or necessarily translate to postseason success. So have the Ravens set Lamar Jackson up to fail? Absolutely, as I look at it, because success in the NFL isn't just individual. Ultimate success is team success. And I don't think the Ravens can have ultimate team success playing the style of football the way they play it now.
Okay. Now, there's something in there that I need clarification on because, one, you just went against your Steph Curry talking about ultimate success and team success. Now you're talking about Steph Curry winning MVP. Make that make sense. But let's talk about Lamar Jackson. He's not set up to fail, but you said something there in terms of long-term, he's set up to fail, but short-term, he's not. But who cares about long-term? Because you can address the needs if you're talking about going forward, years to come. Right now is really the question. Like, right now, is Lamar Jackson going to fail or succeed? I'm on the fence. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give him an A because look at the paperwork on this team in terms of the wide receiver group. They haven't addressed it fully. Sammy Watkins can't stay healthy, so I believe in his talent. I don't believe in his availability. They have the fewest receptions and receiving yards from the wide receiver position of any team last year. So that makes you think of an F. But I think of Lamar Jackson, is he going to pull that grade up? So I can look at this wide receiver core and this passing game, and I give it a D. You ever see somebody on your team almost ineligible because they got a 1.9? And coach like, let me see that progress report. You good? You good? He's like, yes. That's what I think about when I think of this team. And it's not because of Lamar Jackson. I'm tired of hearing his name in the same sentence with this passing game because he did lead the league in passing touchdowns. It's because of Greg Roman, bruh. And Greg Roman has to change the fortunes of this passing game immediately. But Greg Roman has never had a passing offense that wasn't bottom 10 in the NFL. Every single year he's been a coordinator, bottom 10 offense in terms of passing game. So that's a problem right there. This offense needs to catch its rhythm. It needs to catch its stride. Now, in the year that Lamar Jackson won the unanimous MVP and did lead the league in passing touchdowns, it was a surprise act in terms of he just didn't know how good and great he was. And then when you realize it was a little too late. And look, Greg Roman did call those plays, but those plays get figured out. I give it to you in example form. When I got to the NFL, I was bigger, faster, and stronger than most DNs. I wasn't better, though. I was bigger, faster, stronger. That's what I did from a small school. I lifted weights and ran a lot. And then I was like, one day I'm going to learn the tricks of the trade. Got to the NFL. I had this swim move that I thought was so cute. Coach said, you better get rid of that thing. You showing your chest. I kept doing it. Got in practice, NFL, rampart, fibrillator. Took my soul out, right? Coach said, two things you got to learn in the NFL. What's your best move? And more importantly, what's your counter move? Oh, Greg Roman, we know your best move. Run the damn ball. Run the ball. You run it well, too. Top 10 in rushing offense every single year. But what's your counter move? And that's what he's not working on. So right now, as Greg Roman sits there punched in the chest by every other defense out there, knowing that they're going to run the ball effectively but not pass it, I'm waiting for them to evolve. I'm waiting for Greg to evolve so Lamar can evolve.
if we do know that success is based upon, in the NFL, team awards, right? The Aaron Rodgers, he won an MVP. He wasn't very happy this past season.
No.
He wanted to win a Super Bowl. So disregarding the Steph Curry argument, and as far as football, team awards dictate success. Then I think they're setting him up for failure because Lamar Jackson can't win the team award, the Super Bowl, playing like this. Now, why do I think so? First, Sal, let's have a quick pause, a quick conversation over, are we giving Lamar Jackson too much of a pass for leading the league in passing touchdowns? Here's why I say this.
How you get a pass for that? You can't lead the league in anything. It's not luck, bro. Nothing.
So,
Two-point conversions.
LeGarrette Blount was a very good running back, right? We would say he wasn't great, but we say he's a good running back.
He had a great moment.
LeGarrette Blount led the NFL in rushing touchdowns in 2016.
Yeah.
Now, we would never sit here and cite that LeGarrette Blount was some sort of all-pro beast, but he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. Devontae Freeman, Jeremy Hill led the league in rushing touchdowns a year before. So I only say that like, dang, you're right. I use that Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns as a crutch, but I don't know if that makes him a prolific passer. Why do I say that? Dude has one career game with over 275 passing yards. One out of 37.
Yeah.
So are you setting him up for failure? If you only have one career game with over 275 passing yards, and on average, y'all, because I had to look this up, the last 5 Super Bowls, the players passed for 310 passing yards in the Super Bowl. So when you're talking about playing in the ultimate game, in the ultimate sport, the Super Bowl, where the Ravens would want to be so Lamar Jackson can look at his career as a success, you're throwing for 310 now. And I ain't even mentioned that Tom Brady-Nick Foles duel when Tom Brady threw for 505 and Nick Foles threw for 350 plus. You throwing for some yards now. If Lamar Jackson has only once thrown for over 275 yards, and you got to throw for 310 in the dance, and Lamar Jackson has only done that once, I do think the Ravens are setting him up for failure. Because, yeah, it's nice to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season as a quarterback. It's nice to do that. And we're going to brag about doing that. But eventually, we're going to look at Lamar Jackson like, wait a second now. And Josh Allen just went to the AFC Championship game.
Listen.
Patrick Mahomes, same draft class, just went to the Super Bowl twice in a row. Wait a second, all these other young quarterbacks, I mean, even Baker Mayfield don't want a playoff game. Lamar, like, we looking at these young AFC studs. Justin Herbert, he just set a rookie record for passing touchdowns. Like, wait a second, Lamar, what have you contributed collectively, or are you still in the conversations with the Josh Allens? And Josh Allen, is he actually further above the conversation than you? I do think they're setting him up for failure because they're not setting him up to succeed as a team.
See, everything you said points to the scheme, points to the philosophy.
Yes, sir.
The boundaries.
That's where I'm pointing to. That's what I want to point to.
Yeah, and which is fine. But you took a little shot at Lamar Jackson saying it's a crutch to say that he led the league in passing touchdowns. I just don't believe in leading the NFL where the greatest athletes are playing against each other in brutal competition, and you lucked up and been the best of all.
Let me ask you something, because I think there's confusion here, because I've been confused on it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. Do we give him too much credit for it? We say Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns, and I feel like we use that to say he's a prolific passer. Like, don't you bring up that stat? Why do you bring up that stat?
Because the touchdowns are not like a rushing touchdown. Like, LeGarrette Blount was at the 1-yard line half the time, getting those, and, 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal. Here you go, here you go. You can lead the league in touchdowns easier as a running